Bruh.
I've come to the conclusion that I'd rather not make very long-winded videos talking about video games that I find to be important only because they made some sort of impact in the industry they are a part of. Most video games are not like this, and will simply just be cast away to bargain bins all across the nation. So, to supplement the upcoming Yakuza 0 video, I'll be talking about some lesser titles, but they're still titles that I hold very dear to me. So, today, I want to talk about a very interesting title released in the 3D platformer boom of the early thousands, British prison Tasmanian Tiger for the PlayStation 2. It's the start of the new millennium, and you know what shitty games to play on the not shitty systems. 2D is out, and you wouldn't be caught dead playing Mario now. Virginity? No thanks. I want to show off to my friends that I'm not a fucking pussy. Instead, focus was shifting. 3D was no longer just a cheap fad. Now, it's for real. Oh, you think you're hot shit? Well, just make your game in 3D and then we'll talk. I've looked at this like 100 times and I still don't get it. And thus, the new era of mascot platformers rose. I mean, everyone had to make a 3D platformer, like Traveler's Tales, so, you know, everyone. While most games were pretty good, with some great first-party titles and well-respected series continuing well into the third dimension, there was one platformer that shined above the rest. That was among the rest. I mean, it did sell 1 million copies, so it certainly didn't fail. But, wait, 1 million? Really? I thought it was way less. I mean, when your game sells about 1/9 of the total sales of a Sega Saturn, then you know you didn't fuck up. Hey, good job, you didn't almost completely bankrupt an entire company with your release. But Tai wasn't any other 3D platformer. A 3D platformer, but instead of your average mythical worlds and bouncy bubbly music, we have Doom, the country. Yes, Australia, the birthplace of all the what the hells. I mean, where else would those what the hells go? Canada? They can hardly handle accidentally bumping into someone. You think they can handle death? For the video, I'll be using the HD version of the games released on Steam and Nintendo Switch for the best possible picture. Don't worry, it's the same game just at a higher resolution, cleaner colors, and higher poly models, as well as some great quality of life improvements. This is the version I recommend you play, and not the one from 2002 on the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. Those are work. In this game, you control a Tasmanian tiger, Tai, whose family was trapped by boss Cass, who's trying to wipe out all predators so he can take over the world. In a last-ditch effort to stop his plans, Tai's mother throws a boomerang to scatter the talismans that Cass is trying to steal to control the world. The story picks up with Tai, now living with a group of bilbies, falling into a hole and finding out about Cass's plans to control the world. He raises himself and heads off to stop boss Cass and save his family. It's not a very interesting plot, of course, but it's made for kids, so there's no reason to really complain about it. And in the end, it really adds to the whole experience, so it's really more of a plus that it has a childish story. The game revolves around finding things. Your main goal is to find Thunder Eggs, which unlock new locations and areas to explore. Among Thunder Eggs, there are 300 opals in each level that you collect to get 1 Thunder Egg, as well as 3 Super Bite charges. You collect golden cogs to unlock new boomerangs with special abilities. There are 5 bilbies per level that grant a Thunder Egg when you collect all 5. And there are some extra bonus stuff like concept art that you can view. All in all, pretty simple. Collecting a certain amount of eggs unlocks the area boss, as well as an elemental boomerang that is used to enter the next area. Tai's a zippy little fella. His run speed is pretty good, and he jumps high, although you can't really control the height at which he jumps. Tai has 2 attacks. He can either throw a ring, or he can bite. Throwing a ring will beeline it right towards the closest enemy and hit them. Most enemies usually do die in one hit from the ring, but even if they don't, the enemies will still be stunned for a second. In the first area, you start off with only 1 ring in order to teach the player on how to actually use the rings, how it can be aimed, how it can be used to attack, and how you can use it to pull yourself up ledges. Later, in the same stage, 2 up, you find another boomerang sticking out of a rock. You pick it up and now you have 2 rings out at once and can now glide in the air. In real life, the boomerang's defining feature is that it will return to you when you throw it. So in game, if you do throw a ring, you have to wait for it to return in order to throw it again. However, you aren't completely useless without your rings. Tai can also bite, and it is the scariest shit I've ever fucking seen. Biting can be triggered even when your rings have already been thrown. It can break an enemy's guard and even home into them. You can use a bite to break a fall and climb out camera drones. The way you move is pretty quick, and throwing rings is nice and snappy. It's combat that's easy to understand, which is nice, considering most games at the time were less then understandable. Each level has 8 eggs, and there are 9 levels with 3 levels in each area. Eggs are rewarded after completing objectives, which can range from getting to the end of the level, to helping out one of Ty's friends, or to just collecting enough things. Getting Thunder Eggs is pretty fun, and collecting one plays this really cool guitar riff that I really wish was in the soundtrack. You also collect golden cogs, which are an optional collectible that unlocks you special techno rings, all with different abilities. You don't need to collect the cogs to beat the game, but they're fun to find and reward you with really cool rings, as well as not really cool rings. Oh cool, I can zoom in with a boomerang. Can also use it to reproduce. The game looks really nice, good colors and designs that hold up nice years later. I like how the character designs are obviously based off of other franchises, but still manage to look distinct. I love it. In-game, you explore so many cool locations based off of Australia, rainforests, the Great Barrier Reef, the Outback, and they're all cool and different from each other. Sure, some locations do share some themes, but I'm willing to look past that considering it's a relatively small budget game. All the characters are passable and have personalities based on the creature they are. The main villain is a cassowary, which are just creatures of pure malice in real life. It's perfect. The game has dialogue that of a Saturday morning cartoon. It's not bad, but it's not good either. Just easy to understand, which I think in hindsight is a great choice considering the amount of actual Australian slang used. Without it, it might have been a bit of a chore to understand. The music is also really nice. There's some great tracks by the composer George hold on. Stamidiatis? Stamitomatis. How the fuck do you say his name? Oh, it's still recording. Oh no. But anyway, there are some great tracks here. Some really good chill tracks like Rainbow Cliffs. Rainforests. And the swamps. As well as some more welcoming tracks, like 2 Up. Shipwrecks. And the main theme. All around, a pretty stellar soundtrack that I think is really slept on. It's way better than I think it had any right to be, especially for the kind of budget that the game had. The game ends as you might expect. You find Boss Cass and his mech, and you take him down in a final fight. Ty rescues the species, and all is good. This game, it's just so full of passion. It's not game-changing or challenging or particularly impressive in any way. It's just really fun. I love how it's so obviously just a passion project by people who want to express their love for their home to a younger audience. Chrome Studio is an Australian studio, and they really cared about the experience. Levels are designed well, with a good amount of scale, it all looks very appealing, it's just very good. All the Australian slang, all the good themes, all the characters, just adds to a very distinct style of gameplay. Thai is just a good experience. It's not amazing or even game-changing, it's just really, really cool. The game does have quite the cult following. Its Steam release is one of the top-rated 3D platformers on the site. The original trilogy all had Kickstarters to update the games to HD with extra content all on Steam, which went pretty well for them. Later, the first 2 games got Kickstarters to release the HD remasters on consoles starting with the Nintendo Switch in 2018, and then later for the PS4 and Xbox One. It's super cool that they even gave all the backers a reward. All backers have their name in the credits. Some backers got cool rewards like a soundtrack CD, an art book, or pants. High tier backers even got the game's character designer and artist to create them as a character from the game. Now, personally, I don't see the whole appeal of being listed as a backer in the credits of a game. Nothing wrong with doing so, but I just would rather not have my name engraved onto something like that. So yeah, I recommend this game. Not because it's an incredible display of the finest creators of this generation coming together to create amazing works of art that push the medium, but because it's a passionate group of people who just wanted to make a fun game. I didn't even talk about everything I could have. All the attention to details, the honestly pretty funny dry humor. I didn't even get to mention all the levels, just the ones I wanted to feature. That's because I'd rather just not spurt it all out and ruin the experience for someone who wants to play it for the first time. The whole experience really is great, and I recommend you see most of it blind to sink in this kind of stuff you can do. And hey, if you like the first game, the second game is even better. Now, the first game is available on Steam, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and you can get the original version. But of course, I wouldn't recommend you get the original versions for obvious reasons. You can find the full quadrilogy on Steam. The first game is on all consoles, the second game is available on Steam and Switch, and the third and fourth games are only on Steam. But other than that, yeah, I really do enjoy this game. I liked it when I played it as a kid, and I still like it now. It's a very heartful game, and you can feel it while playing it. Along with the Kickstarters, they're also making a new comic called Doom Ranger, which is meant to be a theoretical plot for a potential 5th installment. So if you are interested, give them a try, and there might even be more where that came from. But other than that, thanks for watching, and have a great day.